Minister Narek Mkrtchyan, welcome to India. It's such a pleasure having this room full of people from India, Armenia, and common friends who are all around us. The thing which actually brings India and Armenia together is fundamentally we are an irrepressible people. We can't be held back. The only thing we really compete on is hospitality. That's the only area we compete in. So, and that makes India and Armenia the kind of people, Lara spoke about this people-to-people relationship which we have, that makes us the kind of people who will get together and do things. And that is a story of why we're seeing this room so full of people today. It all began with the minister. A few years back, he was here at Raisina, and he was our partner in crime. And there came the idea of starting something like, he will tell you more about it. I won't go into details about it. And there started a process whereby we started an exchange, and we are at the verge of getting into something bigger, which he will speak about. But for me, it is said that geography is destiny. And for India and Armenia, truly, that is where it all begins. You start looking at where we are. India and Armenia have always been countries located at the crossroads of empires, or the crossroads of civilizations. And that actually made us globalists long before the word globalization was invented in the 1980s, which lasted just about 25 years before Lehman Brothers brought it down. We were globalists far before that. And that has been the kind of engagement which we have really been involved in, the presence of Armenians at the nodes of trading gateways in India, across the world, the old silk routes and the old spice routes. That is where it all began. A long period of globalization. That is what we were doing. It was not globalization, it was just about globalism. Another word for globalism, yes, Vasudev Kutumbam, you spoke about it. But that was true globalism we all believed in as a people. Now, that is where, when we talk about cooperation with Armenia today, of the two countries coming together, see, those are really the roots which we hark back to. Now, both India and Armenia, again, when I say geography is destiny, both India and Armenia, if they are together looking at this very strategic partnership, it comes precisely from that. Why it is developing, why it is racing ahead in these years. Armenia, as a landlocked nation, has had to navigate economic vulnerabilities, security challenges posed by much more powerful neighbors, and the way it has done it is through strategic diversification, it has done through diplomatic engagement, and most of all, the strength of Armenia has been its ability to build these very strong networks, these humanitarian networks, precisely at the times when it was in deep trouble. There was resistance. You know the history of genocide in Armenia. There was a resistance, but far more than the resistance, what pulled Armenia through was its ability to build these very strong humanitarian networks which straddled the world, and which gave them the strength to be able to preserve themselves as a culture, as a nation, and be what it is to be Armenian. And that is something which we in India admire constantly. That is the strength of Armenia, which we love. Now, India, like Armenia, was the hub of globalization, and then suddenly, like Armenia got landlocked, India, at the time of independence, found itself sea-locked, cut off from all its traditional routes, cut off from all the highways, which actually had been the strength of India for centuries. And therefore, when start looking at it, when Thomas da Cunha came and he reached the Malabar coast, Which route did he take to travel? It was not through the seas. He came over land. Similarly, the entire Armenian diaspora which found root in India, Indians going into Armenia, settling there, were always through these ancient routes. And therefore, when we start talking about whether it is the crossroads of peace projects, which is the Armenian Initiative, or the INSTC, which we are partners in both of these. When we start talking about these connectivity projects, which we'll be hearing a lot about, I'm not an expert on these, but we will be talking about these in these sessions today. These are where they really spring from. We are here in 2024 Raisina, which we have been calling Chaturanga. It's a difficult time. It's a difficult time because we are at a critical juncture when peace and regional development can become hostage again to the power rivalries of external actors once again, who all have their Chaturanga chess pieces spread all over our region in different ways. And there is certainly a momentum which is a negative momentum. But while these power games, the geopolitical ambitions of neighbors, of great powers in the region, have the ability to play spoil sport, the fact is we are civilizational nations. We do not think in decades. We think in terms of centuries. We think we are here for the long run, for the long term. And as we head deeper into this rather very vexed decade of power games, which are going to be played around us, cooperation between India and Armenia. See, Armenia is important not just as transit. What is happening is we are looking at a much larger collaboration across multiple partners. If Armenia, we look at Armenia as a gateway maybe into the Caucasus, into Europe, that is one part of it. But the fact is, as India's relations, I'll just give an example, the Franco-Indian partnership which is developed, and posited side by side with the Franco-Armenian partnership. Now that has such a strong potential to grow over the years. I'm just giving one example. There are several others. With the EU also. Lara mentioned what we are doing, what has been happening with the trade agreements which are being negotiated. There's a lot happening simultaneously under the radar. And there are strong ideas here which need to be discussed, talked about, details trashed about as to how we can use this to give momentum to a partnership which is burgeoning, which is growing year by year. And we are talking about today, technology as the next frontier. We are already there. We are deeply enmeshed. Our startups, our entrepreneurs are talking to each other. The number of Armenians I've met who've come to India, and Bangalore is one, Bangalore, Hyderabad. These are cities which are prime on their on their destinations. That is where they're traveling to. That is where they're discussing. So much that is happening. There is such a buzz about what is happening between the youngsters, between young Armenians and young Indians, trying to create knowledge, trying to create new kinds of innovative systems. I think the next idea should be some good, big Indian Armenian unicorns coming out and shaking the world up, an artificial intelligence, moving into completely the next domain about communications, technology, about what is happening to, what is going to be happening technology policy, about data governance. There's all ideas which India and Armenia are debating and need to get deeper and deeper into. So I'm sure that what we have on the table before us today is going to get into a lot of extremely healthy exchanges. As I said, we are an irrepressible people and we talk freely, we communicate freely. Yes, we are loud people, love to laugh, we love to celebrate. So let it begin in that spirit. Welcome you all, and with that I would invite Mr. Narek Mkrtchyan to give his keynote address, which we've been waiting for. Sir, we're waiting for ideas.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, first of all, I would like to thank Chairman Mr. Joshi for your comprehensive talk and to best explain the historical legacy of Armenia-India relations and our future cooperation opportunities. So it's an immense pleasure and a deep sense of honor that I stand before you today at this important forum, bringing together two, as you said, ancient civilizations in emphasizing friendship and partnership and also hospitality. Armenia's representation at the Raisina Dialogue enters its third year, reflecting a continued commitment to its influential forum. In 2022, we solidified our collaboration efforts with Observer Research Foundation through a memorandum of understanding aimed at enhancing cooperation. I'm happy that now, besides the cooperation with the government, ORF started to cooperate with civil society of Armenia, with private sector, with educational institutions, and I know that now Yerevan State University, the main university of Armenia, and especially the Department of Political Science and International Relations are cooperating with ORF with contributions to scientific articles on India-Armenia relations. But I would like especially to, in this context, thank to my esteemed friends, Mr. Samir Saran, President of ORF, Mr. Sunjoy Joshi and Lara Setrakian, President of APRI Armenia, along with their dedicated teams for their invaluable support in advancing this important platform in the Armenia Forum. The story of Armenia and India relations, like an ancient saga, is rooted in our shared history. It encompasses tales of trade, spiritual quests, and a vast network of trade routes. These routes not only transported spices, silk, but also ideas, philosophies, and innovations. And in the early modern age, when different nations they struggled to establish their independence, the Armenian community in India, they could manage to provide the future institutions of the future Armenia, like the first constitution in the world formed in India by the efforts of Armenian intellectuals with the influence of Enlightenment philosophies. So the Raisina gathering, however, in India is not about the past. It's about future, our joint future, a huge potential to foster comprehensive India-Armenia deeper partnership, which has all the potential to turn into real strategic partnership. The long-standing friendship and mutual support between our countries have strengthened continuously over the past 3 decades, with the last 3 years experiencing a significant boost, especially in political dialogue. Deepening and expanding ties with India remains a top priority in Armenia's foreign policy agenda. The Intergovernmental Commission between Armenia and India has gained new momentum in areas like economy, technology, and the first time in history, social protection and labor, education and culture, with enhanced engagement between sectoral departments. Mutual respect for each country's culture and the preservation of Armenian cultural heritage in India foster collaboration and projects to promote cultural exchange and appreciation. While historical and cultural connections are crucial, it's important to highlight the considerable opportunities to expand trade and economic relations between our countries. When addressing connections, we must not overlook the role of tourism, which can greatly enhance the bond between our friendly nations and boost economic growth. Direct flights in this regard between our countries would be a significant facilitator in this regard. Prime Minister Modi has highlighted India's capacity to become the largest provider of skilled workforce in the world. The recent rise in India labor migrants to Armenia has led us to address related challenges. Our governments are now working on proper regulations that could ensure proper visa systems for organized labor migration. In line with this, our ministry signed a memorandum of understanding with Skill India in 2022. This is the ambitious project of Skill India launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which offers training and skill development up to 100 million people annually. We aim to use Skill India online platform to connect Armenian employers with the skilled Indian workers. Armenia and India had the potential to collaborate on AI for social good, addressing sectors like healthcare, agriculture, environment conservation, and urban planning. They could also potentially establish a global AI innovation platform to facilitate the sharing of solutions and research, thereby fostering societal benefit through international collaboration. I'm going to discuss this idea of forming jointly AI global coalition for the social good with His Excellency Minister Yadav tomorrow. And this is an idea that we proposed also to different countries like Saudi Arabia with other partners. We want to have this global coalition where ministers of labor and social protection, they can consult, they can trigger and support investors to invest in AI in a way in order it create good for social protection and labor. It is crucial to highlight the cooperation between Armenia and India within the multilateral platforms. Armenia and India align on many UN priorities, echoing their long-standing friendship. They share views on key issues and collaborate on global platforms, with Armenia valuing India's balanced approach to global challenges and supporting India's stance on Armenian matters at the UN Security Council. Armenia also backs India's pursuit of permanent UN Security Council membership, highlighting the strong partnership between two nations. Moreover, Armenia has a capacity to play an instrumental role for India within the Eurasian Economic Union, particularly as Armenia assumes the Eurasian Economic Union presidency this year, coinciding with India's free trade agreement negotiations with the bloc. Despite its relatively small size, Armenia provides a gateway to larger markets, bringing the BRICS countries with the Eurasian Economic Union, thus offering access to a market much larger than Armenia's own. Armenia's historical position as a hub of connecting north to south, west to east, has made it a key player in trade and cultural exchange. Recognizing this legacy, the Armenian government is committed to forming partnership in major regional and global projects like North-South International Transport Corridor, the Gulf Black Sea Transport and the Transit Corridor, and the Chabahar Port development, which is a collaborative effort between India and Iran, and of course has a potential to include Armenia as well. With its strategic road network, Armenia is ideally positioned to make significant contributions to these initiatives, and to this end, the government is focused on revitalizing and modernizing its infrastructure through North-South Road Corridor investment program, with the goal of boosting Armenia's capacity in securing its active participation in these critical international initiatives. These projects are not about logistics. The aim to provide connectivity, thus contributing to stability and peace, an idea gaining traction with India's expanding global influence. India's prominent position, particularly in the UN Security Council, G20, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, has been vital in tackling socio-economic and political issues and elevating the global South perspective. Such endeavors support the collective goal of achieving a peaceful and united world. Armenia aspires to a peaceful and united world, and by working together, Armenia and India can strive to make this vision a reality. A Sanskrit phrase mentioned by Lara, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the world is one family, can be a fundamental principle in shaping and understanding the dynamics of India-Armenia relations. This ancient Indian philosophy emphasizes global brotherhood and interconnectedness, promoting peace, cooperation, and mutual respect among nations. In this context, Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's concept of crossroad of peace can indeed align well with the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, because both concepts share a common foundation in promoting peace, cooperation, and interconnectedness among nations and peoples. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam implies that security, economic stability, and prosperity shouldn't be confined to individual nations, but should be viewed as a collective global responsibility. Likewise, the Armenian concept of crossroads of peace expands the notion of security beyond traditional military concerns to encompass free communication, economic collaboration, and cultural exchange. In this regard, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Link West policy can perfectly complement India's West Asia policy, as well extending to the crossroads of peace concept initiated by Prime Minister of Armenia. Armenia's responsibility in this regard underscores its strategic position as a crossroads of peace, facilitating cooperation across the region and beyond by creating a path from the Indian Ocean through Europe and beyond. Recognizing the need to open all trade and transport pathways in South Caucasus, Armenia took a constructive approach in discussions to enhance regional prosperity, security, and stability. In conclusion, Armenia is eager to continue collaboration with India for mutual prosperity and integral humanism, which is also an important philosophical concept and very important for our dialogue. To facilitate these discussions, the Armenian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in collaboration with India's Observer Research Foundation, intends to host the Yerevan Dialogue in September 2024, and I have privilege on behalf of Ministry of Foreign Affairs to extend a cordial invitation to you for you to attend this important event. Thank you for the privilege of your attention, and may this forum mark the beginning of a new chapter in the storied relation between our nation. Long live Armenia, long live Bharat.